got that posuk, posuk in Dvarim. I won't bother you quite yet, Peter. But we had B'sholchu Ziknei Ira. We spoke about this, the rule of the Zikanim, bringing the accused or bringing this Ritzach. But it says Zikanim. So if there are no Zikanim, you cannot have a city until you've actually set up a court. Now we'll find this week, in fact, there is an argument about it, a most fascinating argument. Look at this, and in fact, this Gemara comes up, as we'll see. I know we're learning about Ori Miklot, we're learning Makkas, but because the same principle comes up 3 times, that we use this opportunity to mention the same principle. Let's have a look, please. Where are we up to? Itzma, Ir Sha'ain. 8 lines up. You got that?
Yep.
Itzma, Ir Sha'ain, a city that does not have any Zakanim. Mervyn, good to see you.
Hi.
Hello there. A city that does not have Zakanim. Here we're going to find this week, there's in fact the Machlokas, Rav Ami and Rav Asi. We learned only one view last week. In fact, there are 2 views about that. Let's have a look at the Gemara. Reb Ami and Rav Asi. You often find those 2 together. We're going to mention them in a moment. In fact, we're going to mention them 3 times. Here we go. So if there are no Zakanim, Rav Ami Chad Omer Koletes, it still does the job of acting as a city of refuge, even without the Zakanim. Chad Omer Eino Koletes. The other view says, as we learned last week, because we've got a posuk. The posuk says the Zikanim have to call him. So it sounds like you've got to have the Zakanim there. Look what the Gemara says. Laman do Omer Eino Koletes. According to the view that says it does not act as a city of refuge without the elders there, which means without a Bezdin. Bo'inon, we need Ziknei Ha'ir, the elders of the city, which means normally the Bezdin. We need them. Obviously, the Pasuk says it's the elders that bring him. Remember, they bring him, and lots more on that subject, but they are busy taking him, certainly after the court case. And if the decision is he has to go to Ori Miklot, it's the Ziknei Ha'ir who are taking him. So it's pretty clear. If there's no Ziknei Ha'ir, how can the Ziknei Ha'ir come? Yeah? So let's read this again. Chad Omer Eino Koletes, the man Omer Eino Koletes, Bo'inon Ziknei Ha'ir. You need the elders of a city. And otherwise, you cannot. That's pretty clear. You need to have the elders of a city, his city, the city of the Ori Miklot. So again, it's the elders of the Ori Miklot that are coming and taking him back with them. Says the Gemara, Lamanda Omar Koletes, according to the view that says it acts in this capacity, even if you don't have these Zakanim. Very interesting answer the Gemara gives. Mitzvah ba'alma. It's a mitzvah ba'alma. I wouldn't say ba'alma means in the world, but it really means it's a preferred route. Now, you don't often find that idea of preferred. Either there is a mitzvah or there's not. Either there's a rule or there's not a rule. But here we're learning that the Zikanim, it's preferred if there are members of the Zakanim, members of the Bezdin, they should come and bring him to the Ori Miklot. If there are no elders, well, what can you do without the elders as well? Or maybe you should go to the elders of another city. But that city, the city of the Ori Miklot, can work in that capacity as being a place of refuge, even if they are not. But that's the important principle here. So one of them, we don't know who, Rav Ami or Rav Asi, is of the opinion when the Torah says that, that's a preferred route, but not compulsory. Very interesting. Now, to match that, the Gemara gives 2 other examples. Says the Gemara, the ear, beginning of the line, 6 lines up. The ear she'ein bo zakenim, another rule of Rav Ami and Rav Asi. Chad Omar, nase bo ben sorer umoirer. You can have the rule of ben sorer umoirer happening. What is this ben sorer umoirer? Now, for this, we probably should look at the posuk. And this we go to Devarim 21:19. Thank you, Peter. Excellent. That's my fault, is it? Talking about Ben Sorer. I thought Ben Sorer Zikne Eroi. Which posuk are you going about? 21:19. Oh, a bit roll on. Okay.
21:4.
Yeah, right. We'll get to that in a minute. No, keep going. This is the next piece. You should keep going till you get to 21:19 or so. We'll come back to that posuk in a moment, so let's not lose it. Oh, here we are. Let's go to 18. Here we are. Very interesting halacha in Parshas Kiseitze. Ki yihye leish bein sorer umoireh. Translated here, wayward and defiant, moireh. He wayward. Einenu shamea b'kol aviv b'kol imo, not listening to the parents in any way. V'yisaru oisai, even if they chastise him, discipline him, below Yishmaelim does not listen to them. I'm not just talking about, run around the corner and get me a pot of milk. We're talking about major things that he's doing here, particularly theft and other things, wayward in that way. So what happens? Now, we'll take the posuk first and then we'll go to the Gemara. The sofa suvai of Yivimai, they take hold of him. They take him out to the elders of his city, El Sha'ar Makomai, to the gate of his place. Okay? Va'omru, and they say, El Ziknei Iro, B'neinu zeh sorer umoireh. As we said before, defiant, wayward, Einenu shomea b'koleinu, was telling him how he should be behaving with theft and other aveirus. Zoleil, on top of that, Zoleil v'sovei. All he's interested, glutton, drunkard, but it's more than that. Of course, he's still theft and other aveirus. And if that is the case, urugomuhu, he can be stoned. Kolan she'ira v'meis u'v'yarato haromik kebecha v'chol Yisrael yishmu v'yirou. Now, go back to the posuk that we're looking at, and then we'll come to the Gemara in a moment. It says they take him. Keep going. Bit more. No. Back to 21:19. There we are. So il ziknei iroi. And look at posuk 20. Va'omru ziknei iroi. The elders of his city. They speak to the elders of the city and they say he's wayward, the way he's behaving. They have the capacity to be able to do that, but we'll see about it in a minute. Don't jump yet. Now, let's do the Gemara and then we'll come back to the other Gemara we want to look at in Sanhedrin. So the Gemara says the same principle applies here. Have a look at the Gemara. Rav Ami Rav Asi. 6 lines up. In a city, 6 lines up. She'ein bo zakein in Rav Ami, Rav Asi, the same two. Even though there are no elders, you can still have the principle of Ben Sorer Moira, this wayward son. V'chad Omar ein nase Ben Sorer Moira. No, you can't have that. Now look at the Gemara. Leman Oma, according to the one who says, Ein Nase ben Serema, you cannot have a wayward son rule if there are no Zakanim, there's no Bezdin. Says the Gemara pretty clearly, 4 lines up, but Inon Zikne Ira. It mentions the elders of his city. You've got to bring this child to the elders of the city. Beleka, there aren't. So, of course, if there are no elders of the city, then that cannot be done in that city. But Lamanda Oma, the same principle again. Naseh Bob Ben Soremo, even in a city with no Bezdin, you can still have the rule of Ben Sorer Umoirer. There's the Gemara, Mitzvah Ba'alma. Wow. It's a preferred route. It's a principle. It's a preferred route, but not crucial. You can still have the rules of a Ben Sorer Umoirer. Now, before we go any further, if I can call on Peter to turn to Sanhedrin. So let's look at Gemaras. And let's go to Daf Ayin Aleph in Sanhedrin. Fascinating piece of Gemara. Actually, it's a Mishnah, but we'll see the Gemara. Here we are. Keep going down until we get to Sanhedrin. Bit more, there we are. Sanhedrin. And we're going to 71a. Thank you. 71a. We have to do some scrolling here. It talks about Ben Sora Mora. Yeah, it told you how much he's got to eat and drink. Now keep going. I want to show you this part. Yeah, keep going. The next, I think it's a Mishnah coming up. Keep going. Mishnah, here we are. Look at the view of Rabbi Yossi, Rabbi Yehuda Omer. Oh, he's got to steal his father. Now, scroll down a bit more. This stubborn son. Very interesting Gemara there. Keep going. Okay, a bit more. Coming to it now. Yeah, next bit. Oh, no, it's not. We keep going. Just a little bit more, please. Right. Oh, keep going in with sort of chenes. We'll keep going. Oh, this is really the bit I wanted. Oh, yeah. This is the point. Rabbi Yehuda Omer. If the mother was not suited to, I translate here suited, appropriate for the father, what does that mean? Now, if you scroll down a bit, we'll find out more about Rabbi Yehuda. My Eineruya, what does it mean? The Gemara's learning from here. Keep going a bit more. Similar to, equal to the father. Wow. Tanya Namiochi, Rabbi Yehuda Omer imlo hoysa imo shova la'oviv. Similar to, some people even say identical. But Kyle, similar voice. Don't often find a lady with or perhaps a man with a soprano. With a mare uva koimo height. Because the Pasuk says, Einenu shomea b'koleinu. Doesn't listen to, doesn't say our voices. I don't know why he put that at the bottom. He will not obey our voices. Koleinu means our voice. Yeah? I'm not quite sure what the translation has here, as I say. He says he doesn't obey our voices. But kolenu doesn't mean our voice, it means our voice. One at one. Shema kolenu means our voice as one. Our voices would be kolosenu. kolosenu, kolenu. I'm not quite sure we translate that, but anyway, be that as it may, perhaps the simplest way, and then it doesn't listen to our voice. So we're saying the same thing, just like the voice must be similar. So we need also the height and the looks. Now keep going. Now, this is what we want to see. Kaman Oslo. Who is the source of the view in the Brisa? Ben Sorer Umore Lo Hoyo Lo Osidlios. It didn't happen. It can't happen. How are you going to get the height, the voices, everything, the appearance is exactly the same? Impossible. V'lomo nichtav deroish v'kabel schar. That's what the Brisa says. Learn it, drosh, drosha, explain it, and accept reward for it. Whatever that means, we'll have a look at this in a second. So 1 minute. Kaman Karabi Yehuda. So in other words, we've got a brisa that says it can't happen. Why can't it happen? Because in the Mishnah, Rabbi Yehuda says they've got to be identical, the parents. And that ain't going to happen. They're going to be spot on identical. So what does he mean? Therefore, it goes with that view, but learn it and then receive reward for your learning. What does that mean? So many say the principle of Ben Sura Murray, they've got to be of the same voice, which means that if they're of this, they've got to be of the same voice, which is a crucial part when it's dealing with chinuch. If you're talking about bringing up, whether it's children or others, they've got to be of the same minds. They've got to be similar. You cannot have one child under the father's telling him something, the mother's telling him totally differently. That is obviously a great possibility there for the sons maybe to go wayward. Why? Because they didn't have a directive from the parents in one way. So what we're saying here, Ben Sura Mora is coming to teach us rules, to rosh for kabel schar, learn it, and learn the reap the reward from it, because what you're learning from there is that the parents should be of the same mind. If they are both of the same mind, and nevertheless he becomes wayward, that is a problem. But if they're not of the same mind, that's what it means by the same height, same voice. If they're not of the same opinion, then what do you expect for the poor kid? And therefore, that's the important principle we're learning here, that Drosh for Kabel Schar means learn it. And there are a few things there. There's learn it and accept reward, either for the parents. The parents are learning from this principle that the Torah wants people to be of the same mind. Now, if the parents disagree about something, they can do that, but not really in the hearing of the kids. Particularly if it's something major significance. I'm not just talking about something small, what's going to be for supper, but it's something of major significance. There's got to be a uniformity in their view, and the children have to know there's uniformity in their view. Otherwise, what can you expect? Of course, it could be a Ben Torah mode. Number one. Number two, Drosh for Kabel Schar, it's also a message for the kids to know there is that possibility. But, of course, as we said here in the Gemara, according to Rabbi Yehuda, it never happened. But it's there really on the books, the statute. It's quite similar. We learned this principle before. Do you remember at the end of the previous parak, where we said it's on the statute books? Remember, death penalties on the statute books. It maybe never happens. That doesn't matter. It keeps people, I say, on the straight and narrow, hopefully. Although they need to be careful that when they know it won't ever happen. That's a different thing. But it's the principle. The principle we're learning here from the Ben Sura Mora is that the child must be brought up in a similar way. That's crucial if you want the correct chinuch of the child. And that's really what we're saying here. Going back to our Gemara, thank you, Peter. Our Gemara
No one. Why does the Torah have to teach that principle in such an oblique way? Why not just say, as it says in the Shema, you should learn it when you lie down, etc., etc. Where it's very clear in the Shema, for instance, how you should learn, etc., etc. Why shouldn't it say in the Torah explicitly,
What do
father
you want
and
it to
mother
say?
should?
What do you want it to say?
Well, well, if the implicit is implicit, the father and mother should agree on
Yeah,
core
well, it is. That's why it
principles.
says, oh, you mean it should say clearly? No, how are you going to get that across? It says, Eine,
Mm,
he doesn't listen to our voice in the singular. I'm not sure I agree with this translation
yes,
here. Koleno, our voice. So from there you see it is they are at one together. If they weren't, then what can you expect of the poor kid? He was,
mm,
faced with disagreement regarding
yeah,
anything. So what do you expect of the poor kid? So it's very important that kolenu gets it across,
yes,
just in that single word. But it's a lesson not for the parents, but for the kids as well to know that it's on the statute book. So listen to what mummy and daddy say. Particularly, we're talking here about doing things which are correct. We're talking about theft. But it's there, it's on the statute books, but the lesson is Derosh for Kabul Schar. But even having said that, this is a very interesting point. Now going back to our Gemara, was saying, do you really need to have elders? So according to one view, you do need to have elders. That's the point. The elders are there, the rabbis, the teachers. It's crucial that there are teachers around. If there aren't teachers, according to one view, then the whole rule falls away. Why? Because again, what do you expect of the poor kid if he hasn't got Zakanim, he hasn't got the elders, he hasn't got the role models to look up to? Whereas the other view said, yes, that is preferred, but it's not absolutely necessary. After all, there are the parents, which would mean, therefore, if there is only one parent, then again, the rule can't apply. You've got to have these two parents agreeing, but we understand a little bit more about these elders. The elders are there also to show that there are these people giving advice, and therefore, if even with those people giving the advice, the child sadly is still wayward, that's a different thing. But you've got to try as much as possible. And I think that's even according to the second view, which says it's not compulsory, it's preferable, it's a mitzvah, but not compulsory. I think that's also an important point, that the children should see that the parents are close with people of stature. They're close to Rabbonim, other people, elders. Again, a very important lesson for the parents. And if the children see that, they will hopefully continue on in the same way. And indeed, that's an opportunity.
If I understood Laurie's question, if I answered Laurie's question correctly, it's why is this limud here in the instance of Ben Soamera? Why isn't it sort of segged into the Shema, but debate bomb shenantam levanecho? It should be.
No. This shows. I agree. I hear what you're saying, but here we've got something where the Torah says the child can be killed. So watch out, parents. If you're not careful enough, you can see what could happen. Now, again, we've seen the Gemara said it's not going to happen, but it's the lesson we're learning, and there can't be a better place to learn this lesson. Not in Shema, but to learn it here with Ben Sura or Morel. Watch out. Be careful, make sure the voice are the same. So this is the place you want to have it, where it really, gets the message home as much as you can. Yeah, otherwise, it's going to be chayiv. But I stress that Gemara in Sanhedrin says it never happened. There's always going to be technicalities that it won't happen, but the message is very strong. In Shema, it's a wonderful message, and you're quite right, Laurie. There are other psukim in Shema where it said "V'shinantom levonecha," and you got "V'limadatem oisom espanechem ledaber bom." So you do have that message teaching, very important to teach them. But going that far, like we find in Ben Sora and Moira, that this can even lead, if the children are behaving, it's really we're putting the blame very much at the parents. You can't say totally, agreed, and there are always exceptions. So yes, absolutely. So again, the parents can't feel the blame totally, but at least they should feel, and that's very important. I think if you're talking about the younger people, getting married, that at least they have an agreement about major points that they're going to put across to. I'm not talking about what newspaper to read. I'm talking about, major points here that they're going to agree. And if they don't agree, well, then they've got to sort that out before the kids see. And often, the kids, they're brilliant. They will play one against the other. Well, daddy says this is okay. Mummy, whatever. So very important. But at the same time, as we've mentioned often before, the chinuch has to be done with love. Crucial, even more so today. It's got to be done with love and feeling, rather than just a straight discipline, as perhaps it was years ago. But now, very much more with that love and feeling, to ensure that, in fact, we do as much as we can. So that's why it really does fit there in the Ben Sora Mora, the ultimate, really. You see what it can lead to? That's really what we're saying. Benjamin, yes.
I'm not sure. I'm just thinking, maybe should I just try and share a very, very quick word that I heard last week, in the name of the Bob of a Rebbe, actually, when on a very similar theme about how to teach children, that when we received the Aseres Adibros, it says, Roem esakolos. Everybody could see the thunder, the noise, and the Bob says, to see the voices, what that teaches us is that if you teach your children, they should see you do what you're telling them.
Yes, very good.
To see the voices.
See that you're doing the same
Andrew,
thing.
Can I ask a very simple, to bring it down to a very minor question? You said you translated mitzvah ba'alma.
Yes.
As a preferred mitzvah. I thought it just means
You're right.
Just the mitzvah. It's just It's a mitzvah.
No, what it means is, yes, it is a mitzvah, a tick done for it, but it's not compulsory in the rules of Ben Sora Mora or Ori Mikla. That's what it means. It's a mitzvah, but it doesn't uproot the rules of Ori Mikla. That's what we're saying. Yes, it is a mitzvah. You should do that, and it's the preferred way, and it's a mitzvah. But it's not going to, as I say, uproot the rules of Ben Sora Mora. That's really what we're saying there. Yeah.
No, but I must have missed that before. What is the alternative when you say the preferred?
I beg your pardon?
I must have missed before, cut out. When you say the preferred route, what was the alternative route?
No, the alternative, Rabasi says it's crucial. If there's no Bezdin in the town, this town, number one, cannot be an Ori Miklot. You've got to have an Ori Miklot there. It's crucial. Okay. It's ma'akev. In Hebrew, you'd say ma'akev. It prevents the rule from applying. Or in the case of Ben Sora Mora, you cannot have the case of a Ben Sora Mora without a Bezdin there. Or maybe you'd have to go to another Bezdin at least, but you can't judge the child in a place where there's no Bezdin. That's making it crucial. But you can see there are two views here. And just to match that, we've now got a third. Now, of course, we're into Ben Sora Mora. There's nothing to do with Goddess. And we move even further away, but Peter will be pleased. Well, I'm pleased for Peter that it's very close to the previous halacha. Have a look at this. 3 lines up. Ve'ir she'ein bo zekanim. Again, when there are no elders. Rav Ami, Rav Asi. Again, those two Amoraim. Chad Omer mevio eglo arufa. You bring the eglo arufa. V'chad Omer eino mevio eglo arufa. Now, what is that all about? Peter, if I can call upon you, please. It's very close to our previous place. Devarim 21:3. Actually, slightly before that. The main one's 21:3. Well done. Okay, so let's go back to the beginning then. 2 and 1. Ki motze cholo. Boadomo. Sadly, he says he's slain cholo. Boadomo asher Hashem elokecha noisin loch lerishta. Noifel basode lo noda mi kohu. Nobody has any idea what happened to this person. So not if it's a shogeg or a mazid, an oinus, he's found there. Notice it says nofal basode lo noda mi kohu. So clearly he's been hit, but you have no idea what happened, who it was. Then v'yotzu pasuk base, v'yotzu zerkei necho. There's a crucial word. Then your elders, they measure El Ha'orim to the cities nearby. Asher Sevivois Hecholol. They do some measuring, get the surveyors in, and they will work out exactly the distances from this cholol. The person, sadly, it says a corpse, absolutely a cholol. Cholol means a space, an airspace, but no air in it because the person's not living. For Hoyor Posuk Gimel, the city Hakarova El Hacholol, the closest city, Veloku again Ziknei Ho'ir Hahi, the elders of that city take an eglas bokor. They take this, what's called an eglo arufa, oil, never pulled the yoke, and they take it down and they kill this eglo arufa 4 and 5. Readers ignore 5. Yeah, they come near the Kohanim. 6. Just quickly go. Oh, there we are. Again, the elders of that city, which is closest to that corpse. Posuk 7, and they say, Onu normally is loudly. Zekeli Onu, they said it loudly, but Omru, Yodenu lo shofku es hadomazeh, we are not guilty for this. Ve'einenu lo ro'u. And we didn't see this. We didn't see this individual leaving the town. We should have helped him. We should have found out where he's going. We should have taken an interest, given him food, given him everything, and told him exactly where to go, and told him if it's a dangerous area. Maybe we should even have accompanied him, but we didn't do that. So we're saying, however, it was not our fault. We did not see what happened here. And it sounds very much like they're saying that we were not to blame at all. So it sounds like, again, if he's going on through a very dangerous area, then somebody should have gone with him. So it sounds like the Zakanim are saying it's not something we saw and knew about, and therefore Posuk 8, Kapel Am for Yisrael, forgive them for this. Okay, back to our Posuk, please. 3 lines up. Ir Sha'im Boz Kanim. Have you got that one? 3 lines up. Rabami Baravasi again. Same 2 people. Chad Oma Mevio Eglo Arufo. Chad Oma Eino Mevio Eglo Arufo. Same rule. Lamando Oma Eino Mevio, according to the one that says they cannot bring an Eglo Arufo, this Eglo, this calf. Got Inon, as we saw. Thank you, Peter. We saw the Ziknei Ho'ir. It mentions the elders of the city. If there are no elders, you can't do the rule of taking this eglo, this calf. Again, Bo'ino Ziknei Ho'ir Hahi, that city. Veleka. However, again, now it's a tricky. Lamanda Oma Mevio Eglo Arufa. Again, the same words. Mitzvah Ba'alma. Have a look. This is your point I think you were making before. Have a look at Mitzvah Ba'alma in Rashi, 4 lines up. In fact, this Rashi goes on the first time it appears clearly, because then you've got Ben Soromora coming after it. Mitzvah sheyuhu shom zakenim umiu ki ein bo zakenim nami kolto. That's the first example. Even if there are no elders, nevertheless, it will still act in that capacity of an Ori Miklot. Or in the case of Ben Soromura, Kasibo Tzio Osel Zikne Era, Rashi again telling you where the posuk is. And then the final one we've had now is right, because of the same principle. So it's a bit of a tricky one, you see. When do you use this principle of it's only a mitzvah? I mean, some people might say it applies to all mitzvahs. Oh, well, it's only a
general mitzvah. Do we say this is a general mitzvah? Is that the Alma
yes, I think
universal?
So. Yes, I think that's right. It's not a particular personal mitzvah. It sounds like all these examples is coming to the elders, but the elders don't have to be there. The general mitzvah, even the Ben Soromura, it's going to be done publicly. So yes, it was preferred if there would have been, as we said, a mitzvah. Yes, actually a mitzvah is performed, but in the case of the Eglah Rufa, clearly that's more of a communal halacha. And similar in the case of the Ori Miklot, which is Klal Yisrael setting up the Ori Miklot. Klal Yisrael setting up the Ori Miklot. If it turns out there's no Bezdin there, then it would still work according to one of those two views. Okay? Very good. On we go, gentlemen. Good. Please, we can turn the page. Omar Rab Chama Bachanina. Mipnei ma nemra Parshas Roitzchin Beloshain Azor. What's it mean, a Beloshain Azor? Az, strong. Have a look at Rashi. He's going to bring the posuk for us. We might as well look at it. Yehoshua. Yes, Frank. Ozzy, quite right. Those ois. Yeah, no, there's no problem what the word az means. I don't have a problem with that. But how do you know that Vayadaber means a lashon azor? Do you see? The Gemara says, what you're saying is lashon azor does mean strong. Yeah, that's fine. But what he's saying is wherever it uses the word Vayadaber, to speak, daber el bnei Yisrael, that's normally a strong lashon. Let's have a look at Rashi. B'chol Yehoshua, in the whole of Yehoshua, Kasiv Vayomer Hashem. It uses Amira. Amira is more of a softer language. Lamar. Daber, speak. We'll see about this in a moment. V'kan nema Vayedaber Hashem el Yehoshua. The Dibur Loshen Eizu. It's a strong language.
I thought for Sagid is the Loshen, is the strong Loshen, but Sagid Livnei Yisrael, Rashi says, isn't it?
Which word? Sorry again.
Sagid Livnei Yisrael.
Hagid. Oh, well, nah, I don't know about Hagid. Loshen, yes, you're right. Dvorim Hakosh. No, that's not. Koshin, yeah. That's not in the verb. That's in the noun, if you see what I mean. When it says Besaged, tell them things. You're right. Besaged, tell them things. But here we're going even further. No, you're right. You found another example. But what about the comparison to Lamar and Daber? So our Gemara says, this is the view of Rav Chama bar Chanina, that word daber or vayadaber is a very strong language. Now, why is that? Let's finish the Rashi. V'kan nema vayadaber Hashem el Yehoshua v'dibur loshen eizu. There will be some questions on that in a minute, but the assumption is that vayadaber, I suppose you could say also because it's in the PL, which is normally a stronger conjugation, where lamar or marati is normally in the kal, a softer, omar, kosoma levis as well. You're right. The saged, yeah, that's different. It's a drosha really on the saged, loshen kosher kegidin. Yeah, they're strong words. But normally the word, actually, that is an interesting point. The Saged, I don't know if you can pull that up. Chapter 21 in Shemos. Let's see if we can find it quickly. It's a good point you've raised about the Saged. Exodus. Well, let's go to the Parshas, the 5. Okay, we can go to 5 books of Moses. Let's have a look at, it's about 21, I think. Let's try 21 or 20. No, I'm wrong. Go back to 20. You'll have to go back. I think you have to go back much further back, 20 or 19 even. Go back to chapter 19. I think it's better probably to go back. Yes, here we are. Keep going, the beginning of that chapter. Oh, there, that's it. Go down, Posuk 3. That's the Mervin's Posuk. So should you say to the house of Jacob and declare, he says here. So it's also a stronger word, Livnei Yisrael, to the children of Israel. Now, it's for those people who are into grammar. The word saged, those people remember Mr. Myers, the saged can either mean you should tell or she should tell. Now, if you double click on that, I wonder whether it brings a marshal for us. Go to commentary. Go down right to the end. If it brings it, I wonder. That'll be quite interesting. Keep going to the very end, and it'll bring you loads of other things. I've been Israel Clay Yoko. No, keep going further down. He may go now. Keep going. No, he may not be here. I'm wasting all his time. Keep going to the very end of that whole group of sources, because at the end he says some other ones. No. Here we are. All quoting commentary. Let's press that one and see what you get. Oh no. Let's go to Hebrew. It'll be easier to find. Go press A again. Go to source. No, just scroll down. Oh no, I'll leave it. It's going to be too tricky actually to find this. I'm looking for a marshal, but you haven't got it there. Leave it. It was a good try. Let's go back. Now, what I want to mention is this. Back to the posuk we've got here. No, sorry. Let's follow that posuk that Mervyn mentioned. From last week's Sedra. Have we got that? Sorry, I have to call over you, Peter, again. Very good. Now, look how he translated, thus should you say and declare to the children of Israel. But those people who are familiar with grammar will know that the saged has got 2 meanings. Either it means agid, tagid, tagidi, yagid, tagid. Tagid can either mean you should say or she should say. In the future, the third person feminine singular, she, is the same as the second person masculine. So most people translate this, so you should say to the Beis Yaakov, normal word talking about the ladies, the Sagei Livnei Yisrael, you say the tougher things to the Bnei Yisrael, but the Mashal explains it, so you should say to the Beis Yaakov, the ladies, the Beis Yaakov, for Saged, and she should tell over Livnei Yisrael. Even if she's selling over something which is tough, the lady giving that message across may well be much more successful than the man. Because, as we mentioned before, because of that close connection, because of the softness of the mother, even if she's saying something which are tougher, leave it to the ladies. So beautiful shot there. Tell it over to the ladies, and let the ladies say it over to Bnei Israel, particularly when you're talking about young ages, when it's a time of the initial ages of chinuch. Okay, so back now to our, so yes, you do have another example, but let's have a look at our Gemara. Tichsiv. Have we got it? Vayidaber Hashem el Yehoshua leimo daber el bnei Yisrael. Speak to Bnei Yisrael, leimo, saying, Tenu lochem es orei hamiklot. There are going to be many more details. This is in Yehoshua. Asher dibarti aleichem. This is Hashem speaking. I've already told you about these, but I'm going to say more rules about them. Says the Gemara, Mipnei shehein shel Torah. Hashem is repeating to Yeshua things which were said already in the Torah. Therefore, the wording used is a tougher language because it comes from the Torah itself. Have a look at the second line of Rashi. Mipnei she'ein shel Torah, avol sha'ar amiros. Every other statement's made. She'omar, that Hashem said to Yeshua, Lo omar daber l'kayim mitzvah haksuva b'Torah. He didn't say speak. Hashem didn't speak to Yeshua to say speak a mitzvah which is mentioned in the Torah, because there are no other examples. The details that are mentioned to Yeshua is about a mitzvah which was mentioned in the Torah. Therefore, he gets a specific, tough wording. It's for more prominence. As we said, besides this mitzvah of Ori Miklot. Ori Miklot, of course, is in the Torah. Look at the Loshen. The Kol Dibur Loshen Kosher. Every dibur is a loshen kosher, and that's why it says in this wording by a daber, meaning speaking, and that's why when it's talking about the orei miklot, rotzchim, it's in that strong language, not because we're talking about murderers here, it's because the mitzvah has already been mentioned in the Torah, and therefore it's got extra weight. Kidich, how do we know the word daber is strong? Look at this example. Daber or diber ho ish adonai haaretz itonu koshos. What does that mean? Where is that pasuk? Sorry, Peter. Let's have a look. This pasuk is in Bereshis, Mem Beis Lamed. Whoa, well played there. Scroll up. Mem Beis Lamed. This is when the sons of Yaakov, and keep scrolling up. Here we are. 42. Oh, you've gone too far. Sorry, it's my fault. 42 Lamed. Yeah, this is when they come back, having gone down to Egypt. And they said, wow, this fella there, the viceroy, was very tough. Look at Pasuk Lamed. Diber or ish adonai haaretz itonu koshos. He spoke to us in a very harsh way. He gave us, or he classified us, accused us, kimaraglid, like spies on the land. So there you are. Diber or ish adonai haaretz itonu koshos. It doesn't say omar koshos, but the verb used there is diber. Okay, that's the proof. Says the Gemara, V'hotanya, we've got a brisa. Nidbaru. Have you got this next line in the Gemara? Yeah, Nidbaru. V'hotanya Nidbaru. Was Nidbaru? Ain't it Nidbaru? Ella loshen nachas. The Gemara, when it says nidbaru, meaning speech, they spoke to one another. Oz nidbaru. I've got the pasuk here at the bottom. I'll try not to bother Peter again. You may have it around the side of your Gemara. Oz nidbaru yira Hashem ishe reyehu vayakshib Hashem vayishma. They're speaking to each other. We have those who revere God talking to each other. Why? They're talking to each other with harshness. That's a pasuk in Malachi. Back to our Gemara. So you can see the word nidbara. And there's a brisa which says that the word nidbara actually means ein nidbara loshen nachas, softly. So make your mind up. Is daber a harsh word or a softer word? Another example. Yadber amin tachtenu. He will Yad Be'amin. Have we got that posuk? Tehillim Mem Zayin Dalet. Look how Rashi translated actually. Yad Me'amim Tachtenu. Interesting. He says subjects, people. Look how Rashi translate that for us in our Gemara. No, not there. Let's have a look in our Gemara. Yadber, he says Yenahel. He will lead. Interesting. That's his translation. So the Gemara is assuming the word Yadber is Yadber Mem Tachtenu, which means Rashi, the Gemara has now got a question against this word diber. We said diber is harsh. It's harsh because these mitzvahs of Orim Miklot mentioned again in Yehoshua have already been mentioned in the Torah. Therefore, it's got a certain prominence and harshness to it. We found other examples. Nidbaru, soft speaking to each other. Yadmer, as Rashi said, leading. Says the Gemara, Daber l'chud, yedaber l'chud. Not because one's in the PL, without getting too technical here. When you say daber, speak. That's tough. If you say yadber, he will, it's in the future, he will do something. He will, so therefore you can have it in the future, which is a softer tone. If you had it in the imperative, then what we're saying, daber, speak, yeah, whenever it's in the past, or certainly in the imperative, that's when it's tough. But when it's talking about the future, you should, very nice, yadber, they will. It's not, that's very interesting that the Gemara has taken that to mean that in that example, so let's go back. What are we trying to prove here? We're trying to say that Rotzchim is mentioned in a very tough language, and the answer is yes, it is, because it was mentioned before in the Torah, and that's why it says Vayedaber and Daber el Bnei Yisrael. Although we have some other forms of Dalet base resh which are soft, that's because they're not in this imperative form. Daber, speak. If it's Daber or Diber, or in the past, he spoke to us, but Yadbe in the future, he will, the Gemara is saying, not necessarily that will be a harsher tone. And then we finish, and we'll stop.
In the Shema we say daber, don't we? Daber b'nei Israel, Martin, that's what him tzitzis on this one.
Yeah, absolutely. So it should be.
Is it daber kosher? Is it kosher?
Well, yeah, it's a mitzvah of the Torah. Why not? Daber habits. That's exactly what we're saying here. It's a lashon kosher mitzvah min Torah, so it should be. That's what we're saying.
That's okay. A bit more.
Now look at the next simon in the Gemara. Have you got the Gemara? We'll stop with this. 4 words. Simoni, Rabbonon, Mehemni, V'sifri. Have you got that? Peter, can I ask you to bring up the Gemara on Sefaria? Yud Aleph Omid Aleph in Makkas. That's a very interesting simon. And normally a simon is a way to try and remember something. Thank you. Let's go to Makkas, and then we'll stop after this. Keep going. Bit more. There you go, Makot. And let's go to Yud Aleph Omid Aleph. That's 11a. Let's go to that Gemara. Scroll down a bit. Oh, there we are. No, sorry, the next bit. Simone Rabbonon Mahena Besofre. I mean, mnemonic to remember this. Okay, if you double click on that Simone, go to commentary. Let's go scroll down to the Rashash. We've mentioned him before. Let's just read what it says about him. 19th century annotations based on the classes that the author Shmuel Shtashen Divin and Sigo in Lithuania. There you go. Now double click there, or one click. Look at that. The simon is Rabbonon Mehemni V'sifri. Says the Rashash, Lo yocholti lamoid olov. I could not work out this simon to what's coming up in the Gemara from now on. I cannot work out why that's mnemonic. Way to remember it. It's got nothing. Well, so says the Rashash. And the last couple of words, imlo be
Tos sofer.
Tor Sofer. He thinks there's a Tor Sofer there because it's got nothing to do with the Gemara coming up, as we'll see, but not now.
So that's why it's in round brackets in our Gemara?
Yeah, a good one, a very good one, sir. A round brackets often means it should not be there, should be deleted. So that's a very good point, Benjamin. Normally, you remember the rule, square brackets are items that should be added to the Gemara, weren't there in the original edition. Round brackets are things which the later Gemaras feel doesn't, just remove them and put a line through it, leaves it in just in case they're wrong, but they put a round bracket to show that they think that's been added as a Torah sofa shouldn't be there at all. So that would fit in very nicely with the Rashash. And it sounds like Rashash maybe didn't have those brackets anyway. He just had this as a simon, but he doesn't know what it's got to do with the coming Gemara. But maybe we can work out something as we look at that in due course. With that, gentlemen, thank you very much, Peter. Let's just say dulcet tones of Peter as we 121. Shiur Lama Alois. Shiur Lama Alois. Thank you.
Ezri Me'imadonoi Ose Shomayim V'yoretz Al Yitek Lomot Ralecho Al Yanun Shomarecho Hinei Lo Yishon Shomayim Roel Adonai Shomarecho Adonai Zilcho Al Yajimecho Yom Hashemesh Lo Yakeko V'yoreach V'laylo Adonai Shomarecho Kol Ra Yishmo Es Nafshecho Adonai Yishmo Zeitecho V'yachom
Thank you very much indeed, Peter. Baruch Hashem. Let's hope continue to hear B'suras Tovus. Tough weekend. Let's see how things progress. B'suras Hashem, B'suras Tovus.
I've just put it over there. No, I haven't touched it. No.
No? Okay.